Senator from New Jersey.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I appreciate you recognizing me. I want to start by thanking all my colleagues who have spoken today. And I really want to thank Senator Durbin, who's been a friend, a mentor of mine since I came to the Senate almost exactly 4 years ago. His leadership right now, really leading us on both sides of the aisle, being a central focal point for the Dreamers. His words, his leadership today, throughout this effort to make sure that we don't leave for vacation, leave for the holidays, and leave thousands and thousands of children in our country who know no other country, young adults, leave them in a purgatory where they have the anxious waiting to see if this body will act. This is a time where we've seen incredible activism. I cannot tell you how many times I've been stopped by Dreamers who've driven for over 24 hours, driven across this country to come to the Capitol to make their case known. They love this country, that they've served this country, that they only know this country, that they've been here before they could even speak. They and their fellow American allies have been struggling and toiling and fighting for recognition. It reminds me of generations of Americans in the past that were fighting and toiling and struggling for recognition as citizens when citizenship was denied them. I know stories from my own families, African Americans, who literally, like many of these Dreamers, 900 of these Dreamers who've served in the military. I know these stories from my family. People who've served in the war, served in World War II, served in Korea like my father, come back to a country that does not recognize their citizenship rights. Women, Jews, Irish. So much of the story of America is Americans struggling and toiling and fighting, often coming to the capital of the United States of America, fighting for recognition of their citizenship rights. And they are patriots. The young people I've encountered in my home state and the young people I've encountered here in the Capitol, they are patriots. Patriotism is love of country. And I'm one of these folks that believes that love of country is better seen than heard. Well, I'm telling you right now, the Dreamers that I've encountered, their service, their sacrifice, their contributions to this country should resonate. We know the data, billions of dollars of our economy being fueled by Dreamers that are here, serving in every imaginable capacity, there for their neighbors, there for their community, there for other children, there for America. I've sat across from Dreamers in New Jersey who now, because of the inaction here in Washington, because of the uncertainty, these folks who we collectively have contributed to their education, contributed to their success, and are enjoying the fruits of their successes, now suddenly are withdrawing from schools, feeling nervous that they're going to be ripped away from family members, younger siblings who are already recognized citizens as they fight for their citizenship rights. I've seen the pain, I've seen the anxiety, I've shared the tears as they continue this fight, hoping that this body will act. There are folks like Liz. She's a Dreamer from Ridgefield, New Jersey. She literally created a startup business that employs over 800 people. She's a job creator, an entrepreneur, an innovator who people rely on for their jobs. And we're going to turn around and say to Liz that you have to leave the United States of America, the only country you know. Or what about people like Jesus Contreras? He was the paramedic from Houston who worked for 6 straight days, pulling all-nighter after all-nighter after Hurricane Harvey hit. Here's a guy that when we faced crisis and people's lives were on the line, he stepped up. That's patriotism. That's love of country, which you can't love your country unless you love your countrymen and women. And the way you show your country, love your countrymen and women, isn't just the songs you sing and the pledges you make, it's the actions you take. And in a crisis, he was there, reaching out to American hands with his hand that is worthy. Dreamers have been a gift to this nation. They're hardworking patriots deserving of our respect. They come from a long tradition of people who served for this country, fought for this country, struggled for this country, who've battled for the respect from this country. That look up and say, I too am an American. Don't judge me by a piece of paper that says so. Look at my deeds, look at my action, look at my life. This our wealth, this our natural resource, the genius created in the image of God. We are going to cast these folks out of our nation. And for what? I believe that the opposite of justice is not injustice. It is inaction. It is indifference. It is apathy. This body has not acted. It has not shown the level of compassion to patriots. It has rewarded the service of these dreamers, the sacrifice of these dreamers. It has rewarded that with nothing but silence and inaction. Well, today I'm glad, as other days before, that I stand with colleagues who will not be silent. This tradition in our country of solid citizens, of patriots who fought, who love, who contribute to this country, this tradition that runs deep in my family, it runs deep in the families of so many here, when they were told they were not citizens, not equal rights, from suffragettes to civil rights activists, this body finally got it right and finally responded. This is the dream of America. These young people are called dreamers. This is the dream of America. It was a man who talked about being denied his citizenship rights, who wrote a powerful poem that is as appropriate today as it was when he wrote it. His name is Langston Hughes. As these dreamers struggle to be recognized for what they are, citizens of this country, as they put forth a dream no more precious or no more worthy than the dreams of my family, of your family. May the words of Langston Hughes speak to our spirits and our souls and motivate us. Langston said, "There is a dream in this land with its back against the wall. By muddled names and strange, sometimes the dream is called. There are those who claim the dream for theirs alone, a sin for which we know they must atone. Unless shared in common like sunlight and like air, the dream will die for lack of substance everywhere. This dream knows no frontier or tongue. The dream no class or race. The dream cannot be kept secure in any one locked place. This dream today embattled with its back against the wall. To save the dream for one, it must be saved for all." Mr. President, I tell you this with all of my heart. I have met these young Americans. I have seen their service. I know their sacrifice. They've worn our uniforms, from our military uniforms to the uniforms of first responders. They've taught our children. They've benefited from our public schools, from our kindergartens to our 8th grades, to our high schools, to our colleges, and to our universities. We've invested in them, and that investment's paying dividends. They are the American dream. They represent the best of who we are and who we aspire to be. They, collectively, with the other young people of this nation, are our greatest hope for the future. If we cast them out, if we send them into wildernesses of strange lands to them, to places where some of them don't even speak the tongue, it is a sad day, a tragic day for them, but it is even more so for us. What does it say about a nation that turns its children away? For what other reason than they came here when they were 2 or 3 and weren't born here? We are better than this. We are greater than this. Our nation's ideals are more lofty than this. And so, in the same spirit that this body, slow to move, granted full citizenship rights to enslaved people, in the same way that this body that was slow to move, that finally granted full citizenship rights to every woman in our country, in the same spirit in which this body that was slow to move granted full citizenship rights and voting rights and civil rights to African Americans, I hope that we may summon in this generation, in a cause noble, I hope that we may summon the courage to do the right thing and not be stuck in inaction. It is time for us to act as a body. It's time for us to recognize the full citizenship rights of those who have proven themselves already through the greatest actions one can do: service to another, service to our country, service to the ideals that we hail. Mr. President, thank you.